You guys doing all right? All right. We paid the air conditioning bill again today, so that's good. Getting through, I mean, it's good. You know what is always kind of funny with training camp, playing the early kickoff this year is, what is it? It's like, it's August 6th. I always look down, and that throws me way off, that it's like August 6th, and it's like, okay, well, we're in practice 10, 11 or something like that. I'm like, and that's throwing me off a little bit. But scrimmage last night, I thought it was solid. Probably disappointed consistency of play, which is, that happens sometimes with training camp, with the install, with all the different things going in offensively and defensively. I thought we had some guys make some plays, and if you like me, I love to see good quality football. I think we have guys make a lot of great plays. We have guys that are making great plays, but I want to see it on a consistent basis across the board. It is instead of guys making spectacular. They're like a two-play sequence that I know. Like, I mean, he's just like in a scrimmage of a Josh Hammond who wins, gets open, and kind of drops a ball. And then the next play leaps over two guys and makes a spectacular touchdown catch. I want the consistent, make the first one. I mean, I love that we're making the second one, but make the first one. And I think that's just something as we continue, our guys get going and getting more and more closer to game week. We start to do that. So, but overall, a lot of our installations in now. What's going to be really interesting is how fast guys pick it up. The guys that we need to pick it up to create the depth on the roster. I said, we didn't. What day of the week's today? Tuesday. Just for example. All right. So, Saturday was our last day of install. For a while. So we installed Saturday. So the guys had a chance to review Sunday, scrimmage at Monday. Today's an off day. Watch the film review. Tomorrow, and then tomorrow afternoon we'll install. So there's this long stretch right now of guys to see now who has it. It's a couple things, it's kind of outliers that you start to install, and a lot more situational football moving forward. But to see how fast everybody has it, because if they have it, that's going to put them in a position to contribute more and create the depth that we need for this season moving forward. So it's interesting now through the scrimmage, you've got to have it, you got to absorb it all, who's got it, and who's ready to take those steps to be ready to go play.
In terms of the timeline, are you guys on track, you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like you're ahead, behind?
No, I think we're okay. It's so weird is it's hard to say because everybody's there are some guys that are probably behind and positions that are behind if we're really young, because you're asking guys to develop faster than you normally would need them to develop, if that makes sense. Like we have some young linemen that are going to have to develop faster than normal. So, when you look at it, are there certain ones, we're way ahead at the receiver position, of where you want to be. But it's kind of subjective throughout the team with guys. So I think overall, I'm not concerned that we're behind. It's just at positions, and then what we have to do is make sure we are accelerating guys that there's guys that are probably going to have to play sooner than they normally would. You'd want them to have to be ready to play. We have to accelerate to make sure those guys are ready to go. Does that make sense?
Yes. How did Felipe look? Is he continue to make?
Yeah. The biggest thing to him is his consistency and leadership is the one big thing I'm constantly working on with him. Is how he's playing. His performance, I think he has such a much better grasp of the offense, made some great plays. He made some really good throws. But it is, just his constant, his leadership. Is he making everyone around him better? Not just by the plays that he makes, just his presence, how he talks to guys, how he leads them between series, all of those things. That's the constant things that we work on.
And last thing on Felipe, what makes you confident, or the most confident, that he's going to be able to weather the ups and downs that are inevitable this season?
Well, he listens. When you talk to him, he listens to it. One of the things with that is I mean, he's a competitor and he's emotional, but he wants to get better at those things. You know what I mean? It's one thing if I'm like, hey, this you got to keep your poise here. I need you to lead in this way here. And you don't listen or you don't try to do it or you don't pay attention to it. You know, you're like, well, I know what I'm doing. What are you worried about? Didn't you see me throw the ball 70 yards in the air? I can do this. I can do that. It's when the guys that buy in and they listen and they understand the things that need to get better. That always, you're always, if you're trying to improve and you're trying to pay attention to what you're not, how to make yourself better, you have a chance to do it. And that's what's always going to give him a chance to weather the pressures of the year. I mean, he's been through it too. I mean, he's been through it once, I guess with me, he's been through it a couple times. He'd been through it without me. So I think before I got here too. So I think that'll allow him to have to go through the ups and downs and handle it a little bit better.
Dan, can you talk about trying to get more explosive plays, big plays in the offense? I think you guys were around middle of the pack in the country last year.
Yeah, well, I mean, one, it's the explosive playmakers, and I think we have some of those guys now, and guys that understand the offensive scheme better gives you the opportunity to go do it. And I think the other one is having multiple guys that are playmakers, and especially you look at in the perimeter at the receiver position where, and everyone's, you're worried too. You'll have some get it to plays. But you also have plays where when you have, if we got 3-4 receivers out there and all 4 of them can make an explosive play and do what you need them to do, it allows you to take advantage of what the defense has given you. And I think that leads to more explosive plays.
Do you think last year, a lot of it too, though, was that you were just trying to get things installed? And
I think there's a lot to it. I think it's guys learning the system and learning the offense. You know what I mean? Within the offense, you have guys that want to, once you know the offense, you know how to make plays within the offense. You know what I mean? And, hey, can I do this? Can I run this route this way? Hey, you know what? I decided to change the route. I hooked up here. I sat in this area. You know what I mean? Is it okay if this is why I did it. And when you have guys doing that, you have a chance. They understand the system. Hey, I want to take this over the top instead of sitting it down here. Okay, great. And they're more confident in doing it. And I think that leads to more explosive plays.
Will, over here to the right.
Hey, Dan, so what was the best play that you saw yesterday?
I don't know. It would probably bore you. It's probably, probably like a counter that we ran for like 6 yards where we blocked it perfectly. The defense fit perfectly and made a good tackle in the open field. You know what I'm saying? Like that's me. That's what I want to see is great football from all 22 guys on the field executing it at a high level more than guys making this great catch or a great individual great coverage play, all of that stuff. I don't know. There's a lot of it to me. I don't know if me too. I'm also pretty. I don't know if there was any good plays in the scrimmage to my level. I want it so high.
Fair enough. Have you had any sort of clarity on the Huggins situation or?
I have great clarity. Yeah, we had several guys miss the scrimmage yesterday for different reasons. Taking care of different issues of stuff they have to handle personally, stuff they have to handle for me. So we had several guys that weren't in the scrimmage yesterday, but nothing that we that we don't have a great handle on all of it on each one of them.
Thomas.
Speaking of the secondary, last time we were out there, it looked like a couple guys, C.J. McWilliams, Brad.
Yeah, I'll
Stewart.
give you C.J. McWilliams. I'll cover him because he's going to be out for the year with a torn Achilles. He ruptured his Achilles. So, he's going to be out for the year, and that's a tough one. Non-contact injury. And it's a shame because, those guys, it is just one of those. I was early in practice, just planted and drove and felt the pop, and it's a shame. That's so tough is guys that work so hard, they put in all this work in the off season, and you get suffered with an injury.
Are you considering moving anybody else to that nickelback with a couple guys out there?
We haven't moved anybody, like I said, in the secondary and all that. So I love guys to be multi-position guys and have the flexibility for guys to move around and be able to play different positions. But we haven't moved anybody from offense over to defense for the depth reason or any of that stuff.
Who's kind of working with Trey there then?
At nickel now, you're going to have, there's a lot of different things that we're doing there. You have Bernie can do it, John Huggins. You could go as far as putting a Marco Wilson there. But, and then there's, when you're within a base defense, Bernie, like I said, Bernie can be there in base. There's a lot of different things that we can do personnel-wise to move guys around.
Do you have a timetable for when you think John Huggins will be back? Because you're looking
Yeah.
at depth.
Yeah.
Not to share that.
No. Just with all the guys. Like I said, he's not the only one. There's about 3 or 4 guys in that position, but I know all of them.
And then with Juwan Taylor's shoulder being non-contact, how is Sean Davis kind of taking the
I
opportunity?
thought
to
Sean
get
did
more
a
reps?
really good job in the scrimmage. That was a real big positive. We expect Juwan should be back practicing by the end of the week. He should be full go. But I thought Sean had a pretty good scrimmage. Made some really good solid plays. Made some explosive plays. Made some really good open field tackles. And I thought played pretty well.
Back to Felipe. You said he made some great plays, but then you said you're trying to get him to make everybody around him better between plays. Can you give me some examples of what you're trying to get him?
I think he gets so. Like I said, I think if you get around him, you guys around him, he's an emotional guy, and which, hey, I love that. There's some things I like that are going to make him, trust me, I don't mind him getting angry and dropping his pads and being emotional and running 3 people over and scoring a touchdown and shushing the crowd and, there's times for that, but it is managing that of when to sit there. You know what I mean? And, especially, right, we're trying to develop some really young offensive linemen right now. I'm not talking about the ones. I'm talking about the 2-0 line is great. So instead of any sort of frustration or, give me this, I'll make this play, how are you helping those guys? What are you talking to them about? Hey, I'll make the call for you. I'll make the check for you. You guys, hey, I'll get up here. I'll handle, even though the center, you should do this. I'm going to handle that for you when this group's on the field. We got a veteran group at running back. One of the great things is, that I always love in talking to quarterbacks. You're doing this with like a Dak Prescott or the Tebow. Hey, if I'm going to move Percy into running back, that's not his normal position. Just make sure he knows which way to go. Hey, Percy, you're running left on this one. That's your job. That's leadership as a quarterback. Because once he runs left and you hand him the ball, great things are going to happen. Just make sure he goes left. Just those type of things. When it is to be really excited and get everybody hyped up, drop your pads and run people over, and when you need to use your brain to manage and help guys out. That type of stuff. You know what I mean? And it's the same. Like, hey, you see we put KT in the backfield all the times. Hey, when KT's there, your job at that point to make sure, hey, KT knows exactly what he should be doing on that play. Hey, just not once the ball's in his hand, you don't need to worry about that. Just make sure it goes the right way. And then, but that's right now. That's huge with the young O line. If you guys been out, when you watch, you guys, all spring you see that we roll guys through in the different groups, so that he got to be in there with that group, and he's got to try to lead them.
Are there any guys, Dan, that you've seen that have made a real leap from what you saw in the spring to where they are now that are a big surprise for you?
Yeah. I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. We got a bunch of guys. Our guys are, the whole team, I think a lot of guys are working hard. I'm certainly not disappointed with our effort of the team. I'm certainly not disappointed with our performance and how guys are picking things up. So, not that way. You know, I think that there's certain things, there's certain leadership things within the team that I want to continue to see improve. You know, throughout the team as a whole, to be a big-time team.
Are there any freshmen maybe that you've seen that are a little bit further advanced than what you thought they might be at this point?
I don't know further advanced. I think situationally, you know, I think I've learned this through the years. Situationally, freshmen advance a lot faster, just off of opportunity. You know what I mean? And you look at some freshmen, like our 3 freshman corners. Man, they're all going to play, and there's opportunity for them to play, and they're getting moved up to play. It's crazy. Like, if you take a freshman and you put him with the 1s, he's going to play better than if he's with the 3s. Just, 1, you got better guys around you. 2, that sense of urgency that they're like, boy, I better, like, I'm up here, I better not screw this up. But, like, the 3s, you're out there, you're like, okay, we're good, and we're trying to figure it all out. And the 1s, you're like, I've got to be perfect. So those different opportunities, you know, and defensively. So you look at like a Bogle, you look, you know, I think he's doing a really good job. You look at Mahmoud's going to have the opportunity to play as a freshman. You know, you look at Michael Tarquin and Ethan White getting a lot of, you know, where they got, you know, Ethan got some reps with the 1s. You know, not that it always looks pretty, but, you know, that standard of play has to be raised. And so I think, you know, some of that stuff, where you don't have to, you know what I mean? I mean, you look at some of the you know, like Trent Whitmore, I thought did some really good things, and Naquan did some good things, but the pressure's not on them to have to go perform right now. And so I think that even though it's a real positive that they're doing those things, is I think the sense of urgency for the other guys you pay more attention to.
Mark, over here to the right, Coach. A lot was made last year about Ja'Kai Polite being the juice guy during fall camp. Is there
Really?
any guys?
Like an energy guy?
Yeah, like an energy guy. Are there any
I
guys
missed
like
that one. I don't know.
that are the juice guys this year?
I missed that. I missed that. I missed him being the juice guy. I don't know if I would have said that. Who said that?
Who would you have said last year?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody. Maybe.
Really?
I mean, I don't know if anybody was, because I don't know if they even understood what it was to be that way. That's part of the leadership. You know, what I'm looking for, what we're really looking for, who are alpha dogs in a really positive manner to go lead the team. We have a lot of guys that talk. We have guys that really go hard and do things, then try to lead by example. We need some alpha dogs that are both. You know what I mean? That when they talk, it's impactful. When they talk, it's the right thing. When they talk, it's pushing. When they talk, it's to everything they say is to make the team perform at a higher level, and they also back it up with their performance on the field. You know, one of the hard things is I don't know. We're talking as a team. I don't know who they've seen that's ever been that.
Chauncey.
That's the name.
Jared Davis.
Down there in the locker room, and I don't know Jared that well, but they said Jared Davis was an alpha dog, and he's the only example that they've seen as an alpha, that a lot of guys that have been here throughout their career to see as a true alpha dog. And so, I mean, I think we have some guys that can be that. We just got to really, and the positive one is, you hope guys are. But you know, and it's hard to, you know, if you are, we got nothing to worry about. Like, that's great to have those guys. Those are come few and far between, right? There's guys that have the opportunity to do it. Now, might not be as great as the guy that is just a pure natural thing, but they can be good enough to go do it. And we just got to continue to help show them how to. If that makes sense. You know, I mean, we got to show them how to be that alpha dog. And, hey, you do it right this way, you know, and even be verbal in these ways. You know, either guys that are really loud, but make sure this is the right way to be loud and make sure your actions back it up, or guys that do everything the right way, how to be a little bit, when to talk and when to get your point across. Dak Prescott's probably the best I've ever seen.
Better than Tebow?
Oh yeah, I mean Dak to me was the best I've ever seen. Added, but I mean there's been a ton. You know, you go back. Let me shut this off here. I keep getting beeped. I know, like, you know what? I don't have to, like, I used to do that. When I used to do it, I used to have, like, Twitter notifications on my phone. So, like, I'd be like, it actually can be, like, if a point, and I probably should do it. Like, if I'm talking about something and my phone really starts vibrating, I'm on a good point because you're all really fired up about what I'm talking about. And if it does nothing, well, I can just get off that point because no one cares. You know, but, I mean, you look at guys out here. Penardrick McKinney was for me. Jeffrey Simmons. I mean, I've just had I mean, you know when you have them. I mean, you know, the name, the pressure of a name. But, you know, I mean, Brandon Spikes, Major Wright. I mean, you look at, the Pouncey brothers. I mean, you don't win 2 national championships in 3 years. I mean, trust me, we had a lot of talent, but there were some alpha dogs that were making sure that the level of play was at an extremely high level. There were a bunch on those teams. Mississippi State had a bunch, you know, through the years. Anthony Dixon, you know, even though he not always with his actions. Jamar Chaney, that's on our staff now, was. KJ Wright. Fletcher Cox, one of the greatest alpha dogs. You know, I mean, Fletcher Cox was unbelievable at it, you know. Well, it's hard to see. I mean, you kind of, and you hope, right, that they were. Like a Brian Johnson, Alex Smith. Alex Smith was unbelievable. Utah, Morgan Scalley. Utah, I thought was. I mean, you can kind of, you can see it a little bit in recruiting, but you don't totally know. Huh? Yeah, I mean, in my mind, like a great one. I mean, I don't know if we had I don't know if we had a guy that was. But it's hard in year one in the program to have. You know, I mean, you hope you have one. Probably the best one last year is Martez Ivy. If I had to pick one, that would be Martez.
With Malik Davis coming into the offense, how do you see his role next to Dameon? And
well, great. Obviously, it's great to see him. You know, I mean, the great when you get him into scrimmages now, and you see, you know, at the end of spring, I was really happy. The first one was a little tentative. The second one, he started to play. Now he's back. It looks like kind of what he looked like before he got hurt. You know, which is great. You know, which is, and if you see us, I love rolling the backs. You know, I mean, we did it if you can. Because I love the opportunity to have guys be fresh. You know, obviously, you have, with a guy like P. Ryan coming back, that is a premier back in the league. You know, a guy that has an opportunity to be an unbelievable alpha dog for us. But it can be a premier guy for us. But to have the ability to have other guys that come in that are really good players that can take the load off them and give him the opportunity to stay fresh, it's a pretty good deal.
Hey, Dan. I know you've been kind of hesitant to say anything about Huggins, and I totally understand that. But as a lot of us have been looking into rumors, we were made aware of a police report from October where he was accused of choking a tutor. Does his current absence have anything to do with that?
No, that's all been handled.
And that's that incident would be 4 incidents of violence against women or, threats of violence against women in criminal cases. So what have you guys been doing since then?
We do a lot, you know. How many of them were actually charged?
So this one wasn't, Jalen wasn't, but the complaint was with...
I mean, that's part of it is also, I mean, there's a lot out there, you know what I mean, and with it. Now, we do a lot of education on our team with that stuff. Obviously, I'm a big anti-violence against women person. I'm also a person that I really want to have all the information as I make decisions and what happens in different situations. And it's one of the toughest deals in the world today because it's a jump to conclusion on every detail that happens sometimes. And it's something that obviously it puts us as coaches. It puts you in sometimes a really tough decision as you deal with that stuff. Is because you want to make sure you have you want to give opportunity for people to have rights, like everybody else in the United States, are supposed to. But everybody wants to see instant. What are we doing instantly? And you try to gather the facts. And we spend a lot of time on educating our guys. Obviously, we're very anti-violence against women, but as you try to investigate the situations, as you try to educate guys on what happens, one of the great things is educating guys on how to make good decisions. Everything gets back to decision making. How do you make good decisions in life? And if they are learning how to make good decisions, how to put yourself in a good situation, that's how we spend all our time educating our guys on those things and trying to educate the team as a whole, educate young people as a whole. A lot of them have never had that type of education, never even been exposed to those type of things. Maybe, and you don't know what situations they've brought up, what the norm for them is in, a lot of guys. One of the hardest ones, and I spend a lot of time educating, is trying to learn about guys' backgrounds. All right, and what they view as their norm. All right, and whether it's anything from how to go to class and do your schoolwork to violence against women to what your take on drugs are. I've had a player once on drugs saying, Coach, I don't know why we do this. In my culture, smoking marijuana is a positive. It's a huge positive. It's something that is that's embraced in our culture, in my culture. I can't do that here. It wasn't here. It was somewhere else, but you can't do that. So we try to educate all those guys, taking into all their backgrounds, and how to educate them on making really good decisions in life. And one of those, it's such a difficult deal of jumping to conclusions on what everything that's happening.
How did you deal with the Huggins situation? Subsequently from October 1, he didn't play 5 games.
Yeah.
Was that part of it?
That was part of it. It wasn't. I don't know if it was all of it, but that was, with all those games. With part of it could be. He was a true freshman, so he was only going to play in certain games anyway, for us and with depth. But that there was, his punishment was handled when all that happened.
How do you deal with that? I guess, is there a challenge of supporting the player in question and also setting a tone for the rest of the team about these kinds of things?
It is. One is gathering information, and a lot of these, I will say, not in his situation of how stuff happens, right? The hardest situation, when you get into, for the hardest situation a coach is going to get into in dealing with anything in a lot of today's world that could get into a sexual assault, is when you get yourself in a he said, she said situation. There's 2 different stories, I guess, that are being reported. And as people, I hear it. My job as the head coach is not to go into to investigate all of that. I hear, here's one report, here's the other report. They don't match up. And, it's not my job to really make that decision on campus with how that works, and it's my job to try to, I have to manage the situation, educate our players on those type of things. And let the university process play it, or the legal process play its course. Some things yes, some things no. For him, yeah. Do I have to worry about what? phony guys are hard. If we're all phony, the problem with when you have phony alpha dog type people, eventually you're going to get exposed. The difference goes to guys that are trying, and then guys that are phony, and and it's trying to sort those two. You know what I mean? That can be a very fine line that you're looking at. Like, right, I'm trying, yes, but that was kind of phony, or that's the fine line that you always have to manage. Well, more if you have a bunch, you're really good, right? We potentially have some, none that are at the level of being the ones, the real, I mean, we don't have a Fletcher Cox or a Dak Prescott or Pouncey Brothers. No, I mean, it could happen today. I mean, we have guys that would like to. We have guys that are trying to. There's so few that it's natural. You know what I mean? That it's just. I mean, they don't have to think about it. There's others that want to do it and want to do things the right way, and they do sometimes. But they want to learn how to do it all the time, and we have more of those guys. Thanks, guys. Sound good? Thank you, guys.